Today I'm out here working on the squeeze chute, or should I say working on getting my scale installed on the squeeze chute. If you guys remember in the last video when I was working on this project, I was mostly focusing on just digging out around the chute and getting ready so that I could build some concrete forms, and that is the goal today. I'm kind of in a rush on this, although not too much of a rush, but it is in the back of my mind, like, what are you going to do if you need to get a cow in here to do something? Because we do still have one heifer left to calve here at the ranch, and it'll be just my luck that she'll need some help, and the squeeze chute will be all, you know, not ready to go. Hopefully that doesn't become an issue, but let's just be prepared in case it is. That's what's going on today on Farmertylerranch. Well, it sure looks like it should work. Let's go hold it up there and see, and then if it's good, I'll just copy it for the other side. Yeah, pretty much that looks good. This looked pretty good. The only adjustment I've got to make is the notch here on the other side's got to come out another 8 inches because it's right next to that post that's already there, and there's already some concrete, so we can't obviously dig that away, so we're just going to cut it out to be able to handle it. Well, there you have it. It's nothing spectacular, but I think it's going to accomplish what I need it to. So we're lifting the departure platform, we'll call it, out of the chute. We're lifting that up 3 inches, which will account for what the load bars are. I believe they are 3 inches as well, or 2 3/4, something right around there. So basically, exiting the chute with the load bars will be no different than it is now. So the front looks good. We will still have to put some rebar or some sort of a screen in there. I think honestly what I'll probably end up using is just like an old stock panel or cattle panel, like one of these. These are 1/4 inch galvanized wire. They actually work really good for reinforcing concrete. You just cut it to fit and there you go. So onto the back. The trouble I'm having is the concrete from this post is interfering with where that 2x4 needs to sit. If I had a jigsaw or a reciprocating saw, it'd be really easy to notch the 2x4 and move on our way, but I don't have either one of those here. So I'm going to try to chip the concrete away a little bit, and if I can get some chipped away, I'll see what I can do with the circular saw to sort of notch that 2x4. But once we get that all figured out, then I think we'll have this. I don't know if this will chip or not. I guess we'll find out. Proper tools for this. Oh, we got a little bit. Okay, I think I can trim that with the saw a little. Alright, there. Uh-oh. but it's pretty close. Hey, the level's that way, it's perfect, so I think it's perfect. I made sure to run the form boards outside of the alley posts, and the reason for that is that I didn't want a drop off on the slab where a cow could potentially wedge her foot or her leg in between the concrete and the walls of the alley. With the concrete ramp extending out basically beyond the walls of the alley, there's no way that that can happen. So you know, you got to think about these things. We wouldn't want to accidentally injure an animal because of this upgrade. So I guess now we just wait till we get some concrete. I've emptied the pallet that they have outside, so we got to wait on a forklift. When I bought this cement mixer, I looked at a lot of videos about it online because it is really cheap. I think I only paid like $80 for this thing. And I was wondering if it would last, you know. One of the modifications that a lot of people do to these is they put bigger wheels on them and then a better handle to move it around. And trying to walk this thing through this corral here with the ground so uneven, that sounds like a pretty good idea. First step here is I need to take this old cattle panel and cut it down to size so that it will fit inside the concrete form. And the purpose of doing this is just to keep that concrete from cracking. I know a lot of people are gonna say that I should have drilled holes in the old slab and stuck rebar in there and then poured the new concrete on top of the end of the rebar sticking out to sort of tie everything together. I agree, that would be better, but for this application, I think the way that I'm doing it's going to be fine. I thought about grabbing the angle grinder to cut that, but I actually think the bolt cutters are faster. Last one's the hardest, like always. I'm thinking something like that. I've made a habit, probably a bad habit, of every time I pour a little bit of concrete like this, I'll go around and find these old asphalt rocks that are out here and I put them in the slab. So the reason that I do that is simply just to save on concrete. With this little handful of rocks here, I probably earned myself 1.5 bags of concrete. So does it weaken the slab? Yeah, it might. Oh boy, here we go. Just keep telling myself it's gonna be so nice when it's done. But it's not gonna be very fun getting there. certainly no professional concrete man, but I think the spot on the slab that's flat is working fine. But as I'm trying to go over the hump and work into my ramp that I've made, I think the concrete is a little bit too wet and soft right now because it's just kind of like sinking down in there. So I'm gonna wait like 10 minutes to try to let this set up just a little bit, and then I'm gonna try to screed it again. And the goal here is not to get this like perfectly smooth, because it'll be really slippery for the cows if that's the case. But what I think I would like to do is try to screed it as smooth as I can, which is not very smooth. And then once we get it to that point, I'm gonna come back with something and add some texture to it so that there's some good grip for them. Probably been about 10 minutes now. I'm gonna try this again. I would rather try it and say, oh, it's still too wet, than try it and be like, oh man, this set up way too much. So I don't think we're there yet, but maybe it'll work. So we'll give it a go. Screwed up by putting the form spikes, whatever the heck you call them, where I did. I've got way too much concrete here. Okay, well, we're gonna have to do something different here. Probably just gonna call it there, because I still gotta texture it, and there's really no sense in getting it perfect because we're about to mess it all up. So my idea is to take this piece of channel iron and I'm just gonna like stamp it in the concrete all the way down where the cattle are gonna be walking out of the chute, and I think that's gonna give me a nice some nice ridges there that hopefully give them some good grip. So we're gonna try it, and if I totally screw this up, I think the concrete is still wet enough that I could wipe it away and start over. So I'm gonna get this wet and we'll see what we got. Try to get this in the middle and somewhat straight. Looks okay there. This is the moment of truth here. That actually, I think is gonna work good. If my arms were a little longer, keep it better. Hey, that's not looking too bad, actually. Okay, I think if they can make it that far, it'll be all right. Hey, that worked pretty good. The concrete was a little bit too wet to be doing that, so probably what I'll do is I need to start working on the entrance ramp. And while this sets up a little bit, I can do that. And then once it does set up a little bit, I'll come back and stamp that in there again. I think that is all the concrete I can squeeze into that form. And I wanted to put some traction on it, but my piece of channel here is too wide to fit in between the alley. So I gotta think of something else. I'm looking around here and I just don't see anything that I think is gonna work that good. I thought about maybe like using a pitchfork to draw some lines in the concrete that way, using a piece of the cattle panel where it's cut off. But it's just kind of hard to do like a sideways stroke in between those walls. So I think what I'm gonna do is with the form stake, I'm just gonna kind of press it down, and that should make some ridges. It's not gonna be as good as the one on the exit of the chute, but I think it's gonna work. It's gonna be hard when I get up there. I'm not gonna be able to reach very good. Wonderful. Well, I think this phase of the scale install is pretty much done. I just, got to wait around and let this dry. The one thing that I don't like about what I have done here is the fact that I'm pretty much married to this squeeze chute now for like the rest of my life, because the way that I've got these ramps set in here, if a squeeze chute is at all a different dimension than what this one is, I'm gonna have trouble fitting it in there. If it was shorter, it wouldn't be a problem, but I kind of doubt that would be the case. Usually most of the new chutes that I see are longer than what this one is. I mean, I guess that's okay. This chute is fine. I mean, a lot of guys have used these for a lot of years, and this was probably a big upgrade for a lot of people. The one thing that I don't like about it, but I think I have the ability to change, is the head gate on this thing. I really don't like how narrow it is down at the bottom. When big cows try to get out of this chute, they just can't help but kind of trip and stumble, and it's not their fault. It's because this gap is so narrow. So I've been thinking about either adapting a new head gate to this or making a new head gate for it that would open up the bottom a little bit. But I mean, other than that, that's really my big complaint with this chute. I think that's going to do it for this one. My hope is that in the next video about this project, we can actually pick the chute up and get the load bars underneath there. There's a few things I want to weld on the chute before I do that. You're not supposed to weld on the chute while the load bars are connected to it. So now would be a good time to get in and fix a couple little things like this plate that broke off here. I'm not going to weld that back on. I'm going to make a plate that's better and weld it in its place. But yeah, we got actually plenty of work that needs to be done on this chute, and we're going to get it done before I need to process all these calves, which is coming up pretty soon, and the cows too. So this is going to be put to work here before I know it, so I want to make sure that it's all dialed in. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.